What's up, guys? All right, so I wanted to speak on something, right? Um, like, okay, this is how we have to view how things work in the United States, okay? Because it seems um, like as people, we want to be the ones that is always, the good guys, right? You know what I mean? And we are the good guys, right? But our opinions are different, right? So if your neighbor or your friend or your family don't have the same opinion as you, are you gonna call them the bad guy? You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. You grew up with this person, you know this person. You know they mean no harm when they think a certain way, right? I mean, overall, they're just, they're not. You guys should be just friendly about each other, towards each other. But when your beliefs begins to change and start seeing someone that is close to you that you personally know because through your readings or through through your learn knowledge or whatever, right? Then that bears weight on your soul, your spirit, you know what I mean? And and see that's then you have to change your belief structure, right? Whatever's making you believe that way, because it like unless that the person that you actually know, like a friend or family, becomes dangerous to themselves or to you, like in a physical manner, then there's you shouldn't have any spite against them, right? So you know what I mean, and that's just that's just that's just that's just common sense, right? And so this is what we have to think about when we think about the United States of America, right? Yeah, there's gonna be political views that's gonna make us believe and change our belief structure, right? That's why people don't like politics. They stay away from it, right? Because it's gonna change how you view your neighbors. You know what I mean? Your friends, your family, right? And you know, that's not how it's supposed to work, right? Okay, I'm going to teach you how politi- politics. Okay, you can have political views, but don't think America in that way. Like, you can't be like, oh, I vote this guy in because, and therefore the whole society changed, right? No, it doesn't work that way, right? There's all these agencies that have agendas, right? Foreign and domestic policies, their agendas, right? Laws need to be passed. And so you have to think about those laws as overlapping laws, right? When it gets passed, it changes the policy of domestic and foreign, and when it comes to the inner working and practices of the protocols of how things work in the United States, whether it be human rights or whether it be like practicalities as traffic laws or infrastructural like territories and whatnot, right? That those laws need to guide for a path of fairness for everyone, right? And that's how it's worked, right? So when you talk about you know oh well, this guy did this to my family and he's a politician, it doesn't even work like that, right? You know what I mean? Like, you know, and then okay, and we're talking about, let's talk about the case in Minnesota, right? So, quote unquote, immigration policy needs to be a certain way. Yes, they were a certain way for years and years and years, right? And you want to talk about ICE? They it was established in, you know, in like late '90s, right? But it actually was formally established, right? Officially established in 2003, right? Now it's 2026. So we have like 2 decades, going on to 3 decades of the ICE agency, right? Um, you know what I mean? So like, and you got to see it that way, right? Now, okay, so what okay, so what you have to see is, you know what I mean? Like what you have to see is, okay, like there's domestic agendas that every leader have to take, right? And then when certain leaders come in and they do a certain things that's against the agenda, it causes a riffraff for the next people, right? For the next people, right? For the next people, right? So now you have to figure out who's the perpetrator, all that. Does that make sense? Um, has the agenda always been this way for the United States? I think they were. See, the way I think about it is, right. It was all designed and planned years ahead of time before it got to a certain point, right? And when things take takes a like a change, then they have to set it back, right? So yeah, so they have to set it back to to what it was or whatever, right? And we don't know where things took the change, right? So so that's where, like, you have to just rely on the good faith of the structure of the check and balances of the branches of the government. You know what I mean? And if you can't have belief in that, then what's the point of, like, being a part of society where you want to grow up in, or you want your kids to grow up in, or whatnot. You know what I mean? Like, so then, you know, yeah. That's why people say, like, hey, like, if it's not a right place for you, then you gotta move somewhere. You know what I mean? You gotta find a place for you. Remember, not all governments are the same, right? But if this is the land of opportunities, and a lot of people are trying to come over here and want to be over here, and they feel much more safer, then when you come over here, you have to, you know, believe that the system will work, and then you would have to, like, you become loyal to the system, right? And that's it. You know what I mean? This is not system of a down. This is not like, you know what I mean? Destroy the system and protest. Break out of the matrix. No, this is not it. All right. Have a good day, y'all. Peace.